My name is Arun Jagtiani, and I'm a proud St. Martin. In a few short weeks, our country is going to be heading to the polls to elect 15 new members to Parliament. There's 126 candidates from 9 different political parties that are contesting this election, and I think the entire voting population could benefit from knowing a little bit more about who these candidates are. Over the next few days, I'm going to interview a few new faces and a few political veterans. So join me, St. Martin, and let's talk politics. Welcome to another edition of Talking Politics with Arun. I'm joined today by a member of Parliament. He is the Michael Jordan on the USP list. By that I mean number 23, none other than Mr. Silvio Matze. Silvio, how are you doing today?
I'm good, I'm good.
A pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent,
it's a very
excellent.
pleasure.
This is your second time contesting an election, Silvio, but you've already become a household name, I believe, in local politics. You were elected to Parliament on your first try, which is an accomplishment in itself.
Yes.
The first time you ran on the United People Party, and this time you're contesting the election from a different party, the USP. Give me a quick comparison from your perspective, how the two parties differ, and specifically how they differ in leadership, so France versus Theo.
Well, one thing I'll say, the difference in party, the UP party is more very, very 100% business-oriented party. Minimum in social. USP party is a more balanced party, social plus business, and St. Martin is a place you need to balance it.
Of course.
The difference in leadership is one leader knows how to communicate with his rest of his team, and one leader is a self-driven person and just push forward himself and
we'll let the audience connect the dots there as to who's who. Yeah,
yes.
But okay, fair. You've had certainly your share of headlines.
Yep.
One of those in particular relates to well, you were part of a few other members of Parliament that were involved in a ship jumping. We'll just call it like it is.
That's what they call it. Yeah.
If you're placed in a similar kind of position this time around, is that a card you would play again if you felt like you had to?
That's a tough question, and I'll be honest with you with that. I don't think I'll be put in a position like that based on the lead I'm with now. Most ship jumping happened in St. Martin. Most of them behind the scene I was involved with, so tell you the honest truth.
Sure.
And that's when I used to play a different role in politics. And ship jumping mainly came from lack of leadership.
Okay.
No communication between the member and the leader.
That's important.
Ship jumping was never really done by an individual. If you go back in the history, the first ship jumping took place, I think, was Elton Jones.
Okay.
Yes, the second one was Louis LaVeille. The third was Theo Heiliger.
Interesting.
And
okay.
keeps coming down the line like that. So
you're going back to the Island Council days.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And most of the time it was based on the fact there was no communication between the leadership and that member. The same thing happened last year. There was no communication between us and the leader. So eventually you feel like you're not getting to put forward what the people chose you. You know, one thing you must always remember, your job is you're a representative of the people.
Yes.
It's the people put you there. It's not like the executive branch where we put a minister.
Correct.
It's the people put you there, so you have to represent the people's business.
Of course.
If you take that lightly, then you're making a big mistake. So if you sell on the stage that you're going in a particular way, or your governing program is a particular way, you have to live up to what you say you'll do for the people.
Sure.
And if the party divert from that, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself and say, listen, this is not what we sell to the people, and the people chose you for a particular reason to represent them. So that's where you get put in those positions.
You mentioned earlier a big difference between the two parties, between UP and USP, being the focus on social issues.
Yep.
Talk to me about something that we see happening in our community now. There's a wider gap, I think, between income inequality.
Yes.
Perhaps, I don't know the actual statistics, but the impression is maybe poverty is on
the rise.
On the rise.
Yes.
Crime certainly made its headlines.
For sure.
What are some of your thoughts, initiatives in these areas and in other social programs as well, maybe that you want to touch on?
You know, one thing we really have to always look at how this island was built. The island was built on economics, And economics always balance out the social aspect. Without economics, you can't do nothing social.
Very true. How you
You
can pay for
understand?
it.
How you can pay for it. Then secondly, what happened is that because the influx of so many people coming to St. Martin and looking for a new life, and immigration was not put in place in the right way to balance it out, there was a period of time it got out of hand.
Yes.
And what happened is that at a given moment, all of the children that went to school that didn't have the opportunities to go abroad to study,
correct,
who remained here, had a problem finding a job. And then you have also another group, which a lot of people don't know. You have also the undocumented born children of St. Martin, which I think consists today of over 3,000 to 4,000.
Is it that high?
Yes.
Wow.
And can you imagine, these are children that even became a relationship together. You have a mom and a dad today is undocumented, don't belong to no country, born here, and have kids now here. So where do they belong? Normally when they say that you'll be deported or so because of immigration, you'll be sent to your mother's land. But these people, they don't have no land. So we have a serious issue here because of our system, of the Dutch system. It don't allow, like in the States, if you're born in the States, you automatically get the American right, just like England, you know?
Sure.
So here it is, we are facing with a lot of these type of children that grew up here and they don't have no documentation. Wow. So I was thinking, bottom line is what we must do, we must give them permanent residency.
Yeah.
And by becoming permanent residency, after 10 years, they qualify to get a Dutch passport.
Sure.
And that's the only way we can go about and then have these individuals documented. Because it's so sad to know that they can never travel or do anything. So when you look at all of that aspect around it, it comes down to the fact that because they're undocumented, they can't do certain things, people don't hire them. And then the rate
they left with?
Yes,
what options?
They left to go into the crime world.
Right.
You know, and then you have a lot of kids that that end up on the block, as we call it.
Yeah.
Sit down, talk with others. They complain that, listen, there's no more opportunities for us. So what makes sense to go down to work? You're only getting $600. Your rent is $500-600. By the time they pay, done that, they can't survive based on their income. So that's something we really have to work hard on to get it done. I believe there's a program that I was thinking on. It's called Pay to Go to School. Since that we have so much influx of work permits, so many companies want to hire people from abroad, I said, okay, then I charge for a higher fee for work permits. That fee goes towards a schooling program to put these kids in school 3 days a week, and 2 days they go to work. And then you pay them, and they get like a type of social security from it, but you teach them that they start to understand the fact that they're working and going to school and know what it is to collect a paycheck. Yes. So by the time you do the system over 3 years, the first year there'll be 3 days in school, 2 days working. The second year there'll be 3 days working, 2 days in school. By the third year there'll be 4 in transition.
So we transition them into the workforce.
So then, but they get that feeling like, yes, I'm wanted, and the companies that you give tax incentives to do this,
like that
they will pull them in because they will look for that very beautiful tax incentive to do it. And like that, I think we can bring down the crime. With it also, with the higher fees of the immigration for work permit, you can be able to handle a lot of social aspect from that point of view.
True. That
is bringing pressure on the island, and at least you know the employer is happy to know that his work permit will be signed off. Not that they request it and there's a whole different question.
Backlog
is it not coming? Is it well coming? Listen, this is it. Every month you have to go get your stamp on top of it. You pay that one fee, whether it is $100, $200. You know it's guaranteed. Right. That money goes into a social funds to fund this type of program, and we create a whole different new aspect of doing things then.
Interesting, interesting. I like new ideas. You said a buzzword for me at least. You said tax incentive.
Yep.
Which I think for the entire business community that's following the election, that's an important phrase, but more so I think tax reform is something what a lot within the business community want to hear about. We hear about the low compliance rates, and we also hear about businesses crying that they're being taxed too heavily.
Yes, very much so.
What are your thoughts on where we are with our tax code?
Well, I think bottom line is the tax system that we have does not work for this island. We all,
Okay.
you're a businessman,
Yeah.
I was a businessman before. We know it don't work. There's something about this island, it's different than any other island within the kingdom, even in the kingdom itself. So I think we have to create a tax reform that fits this island.
Yes.
And most of all, let's be honest, most people that invest in St. Martin, they invest because they were tired of the bureaucracy of a big country. They didn't come here because they're going to make much more money than when they was making a big city where they have all the volume.
I agree.
They come here
because
because
the quality of life.
They come to equality of life, they come for a relaxation in life,
Correct.
and still have something to do.
Sure.
So what we have to do, we have to fix that gap there in a smart way to attract these type of investors. One of the biggest things I find we should cut is profit tax all the way down to 10%.
Okay.
It's impossible that this little island have a profit tax of 35%.
It's strangling.
And what has happened?
Yeah.
We have capital flight. You know that.
Yes.
Most people are trying all type of ways to get the money off. Let's don't fool ourselves. It's the reality. So these are the things that I think really need to be done. The USP party is planning to do it. And you know, Aaron, it's come down to this. I don't know, the biggest problem we have in politics is hard to say it, I'll say it, lack of cojones. Sorry to say it in the word like that.
No, that's
but
okay.
if you're gonna step up to the plate and say you're gonna do something for the country, you gotta have a backbone. You have to be willing to have broad shoulders. You have to be willing to be controversial.
Yes.
Everyone know me as a very controversial person.
For sure.
I will not be politically correct
Right.
because being politically correct don't help your nation.
Right.
So by being controversial, we can get the tax reform change. We can get the change in the tax system.
So what are your thoughts on the TOT? And I've also heard some suggestions that maybe we should switch to import duty.
I think if we look at today, let's just give a comparison. Curacao, St. Martin. Curacao import duty 42%, something like that I think.
Right.
St. Martin 0, but St. Martin's more expensive.
Cost of living is still so much higher
So
here.
much higher here.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Very good question.
So guess what? Then that means somehow we are not getting our priorities straight.
Right.
I think St. Martin is not duty-free anymore. I think it's just a word for the tourists to say, oh my gosh, St. Martin is duty-free. Like I was traveling some time ago, buying a perfume, and I bought a perfume for a young lady, and I was like, wait a minute, St. Martin, this is $80. And in Paris, it was $20 less. While in Paris, the taxes are way high, you know?
Sure.
So you're like, what's going on here? So that's the problem, I think, in St. Martin, that are we really tax-free? I don't think so anymore.
Correct. I would agree with you. The cost of living here is
it's
really
way too high.
Really escalated.
Yeah. If we even jump on a topic that you didn't, let's look at, for example, it's something that bothers me a lot, is the old age pension.
Yes.
All these people that, Aaron, let's touch the core of our island.
Please, yeah.
These people work hard to make St. Martin where it is today. Not me, not you. Now we're doing our part.
Sure.
But I'm talking about the elder ones. They put in all the effort for this island to become the friendly island. I was driving today and I was thinking this. There's a lot of people in St. Martin driving around, don't even know the core family names that was the foundation of this country. The names that make these people make all this money in St. Martin. They walk around, they think it just appeared. But the foundation, the fundamental strength of this island was those little St. Martiners that had that big smile, and the tourists love them, and they keep coming back and keep coming back.
And their spirit is what's been commercialized now that
and
we
the
benefit
sad
from.
part of it, what we do with them, we penalize them. We penalize them by giving them a pension of $450 or $500, and we even tax that too. That's the sad part. We should not be taxing the old age pension. They have paid their price, they have did what they had to do. We should be even finding incentives for these people, because they are the foundation of why we can sit here today.
And let me ask you this, how much as well of them not being acknowledged falls onto our education system? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Perhaps our schools also need reform, not only our tax code, but also our schools need to be reformed to match our society today.
I think the most important thing, what we need is a hospitality school. Very,
thank you for saying that.
Very long overdue.
Way overdue.
Our business is, the core business is tourism. We could jump high and low. You know, there's a saying, I always used to tell when I'm from the construction field, and I always used to tell my construction workers, your dollar came from the tourists. They were like, how you mean? My dollar come from the construction? No. Without that dollar, you can't
There's no
build.
construction site. Yeah.
So when you see a tourist, tell them hello, give them a smile, give them
Right.
good directions, because your living comes from that, 99.9%. You know?
I agree
and
with that,
that's
man.
the thing why we need a hospitality school. We need to train our youth that not
kindergarten.
yes,
Yeah,
not
it should be in our
everyone,
curriculum
not everyone can become doctors, not everyone can become surgeons, not everyone can become this computer specialist.
Right.
You need great bartenders, you need great waitress, you need great people in the hospitality world. We need to train that because that's our core business.
Absolutely. I definitely endorse that 100 million
Yeah.
times. We need to have tourism in our school curriculum from kindergarten, preschool, and on up.
It needs to be like how Ronald McDonald is so important that every kid know him.
Yeah.
Hospitality need to be known in our
Yeah.
everything.
So
Yeah.
to touch on some of the things you just said, actually, you come from a construction background.
Yep.
You also wanted to highlight the importance of some of the local family names.
Yep.
So let's touch on the water plants.
Yes, nice.
So not so long ago, I believe on the Oral Gibbs show, you revealed some plans that are going to happen across from the water plant
Yes,
square,
exactly.
which to me I found quite exciting. Could you touch on that? Maybe explain what that project entails?
What we noticed in the past year by Walter Plants was a lot of tourists start to like the feeling of sitting on a terrace, and when the boats divert them down to that smaller pier, they love the idea that they were sitting down and enjoying the Caribbean sun and everything
Right.
while and take. The men loved it because the women were not in the jewel stores, so they will go lay down. They'll go lay
There's
down
a
on
more
the beach.
relaxed
and-
atmosphere,
Yes.
yeah.
So they were like, you know, this is nice. Then the locals start to interact, and it became more and more popular down there. But the problem is, why it didn't grow as fast as it could was parking.
Right.
So the harbor started to talk about how can we get with parking. So the idea came up, we should put a parking garage.
Yes.
And then with the minister and her team, they came up with, why don't we interact the STA building with it? Like that,
Interesting, yes.
financially you can cope it together. The STA, tourism, right
Makes
there
sense.
in
Yeah.
the heart of the tourism industry with the parking, let's put a building. Then we start to hear a lot of hoteliers looking for the building,
location, the
a
next new
location.
hotspot.
You know, there's a lot of people just operate, but they don't own the building. So they say,
Right.
if you own the building, we put our tag on it, we fill it for you. So we
Right.
decide, let's come up with a concept, win-win-win situation. Parking garage, STA building, hotel. And that's the concept what you saw that on our game.
Exciting, exciting. So that's moving forward.
That's
still the
moving
planning
forward.
stages.
That's in the planning stages.
Okay.
Hopefully by next year we'll be groundbreaking.
Excellent, excellent. So I know you're somebody that doesn't shy away from controversy. So
No.
let's talk about a few things that have been making headlines recently.
Yep.
So just a couple days ago, I read in the paper the St. Martin Marine Trade Association had a few things to say about the Port of St. Martin, specifically about their involvement in the Simpson Bay Lagoon.
Yep.
And the role of slack was, let's say, being questioned by SMTA. And then there was a rebuttal from the port saying that there's not been proper communication from the other side. How familiar are you with that situation, and what's your take on what's
I'm
going
not
on
familiar,
there?
but I'll just give, as they say, a little stupid man from a middle region. I'll just give my opinion on that.
Fair.
At the end of the day, certain areas is government and must be regulated always by government. You cannot leave those things fall in private hands because it gets out of hand. The association, whatever they are, they're running a business. All due respect for
Fair.
them, but at the end of the day, they don't take care of the people's business. They're running their individual
For
business
profit, yes.
for profit.
Yes.
Good, the slack come in there, seeing the slack like if the slack is holding competition with them. Now, as I said, just a stupid little Milleridgean man giving his comments. There's only one company is allowed to sell electricity.
Yes.
It's GBEE.
Correct.
These marinas are selling electricity to the yachts.
Oh. Okay, I didn't know that.
Come on, you
Right,
know that.
I wasn't aware of that. No, I
they
wasn't.
plug and they get charged.
Right.
So that should be regulated by government through an entity like the SLAC. There's so much boats come in and out, is not being charged the right way. There's these sailboats just come, drop anchor, is not mooring to a mooring or something like that. They don't care about that. They care about their only core business, which is the marine business. All due respect, they build that business to an awesome business.
Absolutely.
I
It's a
love
key-
what they see. I
absolutely.
praise them.
It's-
I praise them for what they're doing. But they must understand beyond their moorings and beyond their piers,
Right.
there is the lagoon and there's other things and there's pollution and there's criminality going on in there.
Sure,
And
yeah.
who's going to be able to handle that? You must have an entity who have the concession to be able to handle all these stuff. And that's
Fair.
why I believe in the SLAC.
Fair. Okay.
And you know, I wonder what's another thing is, it's something I'm getting tired of on this island. Whenever something don't go people's way, it's always some criminal involvement. It's always they're busy doing some hanky-panky. They're doing this and they find a way in the newspapers, saliva on it, and then right away throws our island in negativity.
In a negative light,
you know, and that's the sad part what we are today when people feel like, oh, let's use the media and make it look like a real nice story to make it seem more than it is.
Right.
At the end of the day, you do a business, you should respect the government side. I always say, never fight the White House.
Yeah, okay.
You understand?
True,
because the White House is the foundation that made your business where it is today.
Right.
Because if government
I thought you were talking about the other White House. No, I'm just kidding.
No, if government did not make the opportunities available for your business couldn't thrive.
Correct.
So you must respect if government is coming with an entity and respect how government is coming and just fit in with it. Operate accordingly. Don't try to bash and think because you want to play political games with it. I don't like that at all. You know.
I appreciate the honest answer from the streets of Mill Region.
Yes,
I won't say silly man. I'll say from the streets of Mill Region.
Yeah.
A couple other things I want to touch on real quick. We're tight on time. Tell me about Rolando Bryson. This is a story that made a lot of headlines.
Yes.
Let me hear your side.
I'll say it in 2 words. Awesome kid. Awesome kid.
Yeah.
I won't divert from him. I'll stick with him. I'll go through everything with him. And I'll say it now on this program because I need to say it. I don't have it in my hand, but a stone.
Yes.
Imagine a stone in your hand. And someone will tell you, Aaron, if you did not sin, cast the first stone. So you think...
I've heard that somewhere before.
You think anyone that wrote anything against Rolando Bryson could cast the stone? There's only one man could have cast that stone on earth was Jesus Christ himself. So none of them was able to cast that stone. So how dare they judge that kid? I will stand by him. I will be there for him. And he will be the next director of the STA.
First director.
First director. And I think we should not kill our youth. We should push them all the way through. And he's the first of this, and he won't be the last, because my goal is to keep pushing younger directors because someone have to take over. Right. You know, too long we have these older generations, they're becoming fossils and they don't want to give up. Me and all, I'm turning 50 this year, God's willing. I believe I'm getting a little too old because
transition now.
Of course. So you have to be honest with yourself and say, give one another chance and stop playing politics and destroying children.
Another headline that's still sending kind of ripple effects or shockwaves was the China Pearl project.
Oh, last night I spoke about that on the stage.
I know you're somebody that knows the construction field, knows real estate, knows the business of developments.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this project?
I'll outline this project in the right way that it had to be outlined from day one. I don't understand why the finance minister jumped on it and tried to bring it out like it was some jackpot or whatever.
Yeah, that's...
I think that project had to be outlined with the Minister of Vromi, Finance, Prime Minister, and TIAP. It's a full project. Furthermore, the project is a good project.
Okay.
It was outlined that those investors will come from China. They guaranteed that it will bring tourists to fill the place.
Is that an accurate figure, 1 million people per year?
No, it's not 1 million people. It's 1 million people over 4 years.
Over 4 years?
Yes,
okay.
It's 250,000 by year.
Gotcha.
The Chinese market goes like this. When people want to go on vacation, the destination is determined by the government. So that's how they could guarantee that so much will come to St. Martin.
Interesting.
Yes, so the thing about it is, when they came, because they did other projects I heard in the Caribbean, but when they came, they said, we do it this way. And we stand firm and we said, no, you can come with a GC, a general contractor, but everything else have to be done locally. Okay. The reason why we said the GC is important because the project is of value about nearly 400 million and there is no contractor here can take that type of guarantee.
Right.
It is too huge.
Right.
So we said, bring your GC, just like how Weston did, and you trickle down all the rest work to the local contractors. Of course, they're going to bring a lot of material from China because you know how that works today.
Of course.
But 80%... We
don't manufacture materials anyway, so...
80% of the work must be carried out locally.
So how much consideration has been given, let's say, to the environmental impact, the burden it would have on GB, the dump, our internet service, those factors which I think are so
that this project
struggling
will have,
on our island in general?
That this project will have burden on top of that?
Well, yeah, that's the question.
Well, you see, everything work hand in hand. We were busy already with getting the waste to energy going, to cut down the dump and turn it into a real waste to energy program.
Yes.
Then also we want to modify the GB, totally gasification. So all of that work hand in hand with the new development of this. So once you put everything in place, I don't see nothing happen.
Okay.
Then everyone says, but what about traffic?
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you something that you'd never even take in consideration. Can you imagine on any given day, when 6 ships touch St. Martin, there's 30,000 people comes on the island? Don't they disperse somehow through the island?
Of course.
In one day. Now you're talking 30,000 coming over the whole month. So these people, one, they get up later than the average person going to work.
Okay.
They head towards the beaches to relax on the beaches. At night, when the locals are gone back to sleep, they're out in dinners and having fun. So somehow St. Martin finds a way to interact with each other, and everything comes to a perfect solution.
Interesting. Okay. One other thing, I know you're all about the economy, diversifying the economy. What about the cannabis industry in St. Martin? You think there's place for that? You think that's an opportunity, or is that something we should look the other way?
You know, I always say, people will be shocked that because I never smoked weed in my life, you know, so I can't say anything about it, but I read a lot about it in the States. It is a growing industry.
$1 billion industry.
A $1 billion industry. Now, here it is in St. Martin. I was making a joke with someone. I said, can you imagine our new advertisement? You have like one of these stars from Hollywood, and he's like, I'm here in St. Martin. I had some pain in my legs, but I'm now on the beach and I'm enjoying some good medical marijuana. What's taking care of my pain, but also that I'm on the sun enjoying the beautiful sea of St. Martin. And it's closer than...
We could produce that commercial for you, by the way, if you want.
It's closer here for us from the state of New York, which is the colder area, the East Coast, compared to going all the way to the West Coast.
The West Coast, very true.
So it will be easier for them to come here. So do I believe in it? Yes. But the problem is here, as I come back from day one, do we have the people who have the backbone to say, listen, let's put the studies, the cojones. Let's put the studies together. Let's really do it together. I do believe if we do it, that alone will wipe out our full budget by year.
I definitely think so.
Yeah. Can you imagine if we do that, the old age pension, we can double it?
Absolutely.
We can now, instead of penalize our older folks, our seniors, we can tell them, we're going to give you a bonus for being that friendly person. So yes, I do believe we should think about it.
Well, in conclusion, I want to ask you one little kind of personal question. You're not the only Matza in this election, contesting this election right now. Your older brother, Raymond, who we interviewed a few days ago, he's contesting on a new party, his first time contesting the election. Was there any conversation of the two of you running together on the same party? Is there any kind of sibling rivalry happening behind the scenes? And what's your take on him contesting from a different
I'll be honest, I always respect everyone's opinion. That's how I am as a person. I was shocked when he decided to run. I told him if that's what he wants, he should do. As you say, he's a rivalry, so I never will give him my secrets how to get votes or whatever, how to talk to people. That's his choice he have to make. I wish him all the best. At the end of the day, I know that the USP party will be a party in government, and I hope for them, if they make it, that they will be there sitting, talking with us, whatever. But for the rest, rivalry as family, no. Our family is so huge.
That's true.
That he will get some of the family members, and I will get some of the family members.
Excellent, excellent. Again, thank you so much, Mr. Matza. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
He's the number 23 candidate, number 23, the Michael Jordan candidate on the USP list. In closing, Mr. Matza, I'd love to give you a chance to speak directly to the audience and give him your...
Well, people of St. Martin, there's one thing I would like to say. These days, as I'm out in the campaign trail, a lot of people are very hurt. They don't want to vote. They don't want to say anything. They're very upset. I'll tell you one thing. Don't be upset with the USP party. It's a new growing party. In life, you have to take the decision to give someone a chance. You've been given the chance too much to the former older generations. It's time you to make that decision. But if you don't make no decision at all and you don't go out to vote, the decision, whatever's taken, you will have to live with it no matter what. and you won't be able to complain because you had the opportunity to make a change and you did not. So on the 26th of September, there's only one way. It's all about us.
Thanks again, and best of luck come election day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Silvio.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.